Soul Source is a podcast made by women for women. We're looking at the topics that are influencing women and the world they live in, and we're shedding a light on those topics. We're speaking with the national experts. We're bringing you the stories you're only going to hear here. Don't miss out on being in the know. Subscribe to Soul Source wherever you listen to podcasts today and leave us a review. This part's really important. That way we can continue to bring you the content you love each and every week. So buckle up, Soul Source Society, because we're about to get started.
So what we need sometimes is something that is attainable. So 15 seconds feels attainable or more attainable than actually getting up and carrying out a whole day. And when we are mindful, of course, we have that physical change that's happening in our body. And sometimes that's just the catapults that we need to get up and get some shoes on, get up and brush our teeth.
Hi, I'm Katie.
And I'm Tracy, and we're back again this week to share another one of our favorite episodes with you. This is a Soul Source episode from last December where Raquel talked with Stephanie Bellin from Bellin Training Solutions.
Yeah, so my question is there anyone who really never gets stressed out? Because I know for me, my head is constantly spinning, thinking about the chores I need to get done, the errands I have to run, and I always feel like I'm forgetting something, which just adds to that level of stress.
Yeah, so true. And like for me, you can write down a to-do list, you can see all the tasks you need to get done, but then even like deciding where to start on that list of things to do can be difficult to do, and it can be stressful.
Right. It's like a complete brain block, and then you don't end up doing anything. This episode is really, really nice because Stephanie actually takes time to walk us through different exercises that we can do to kind of help us refocus our brain and be able to jump into that stuff. And it will just give you a deep breath so that stress kind of melts away.
Yeah, it's been really helpful for the both of us. So we hope this episode is just as helpful for you too.
Stephanie, welcome back to Soul Source. We're happy to have you on here again.
I am absolutely thrilled to be back, and I appreciate your invitation, Raquel. I absolutely love Red Shoes, and the podcast Soul Source has really, people have really been enjoying it on Twitter. So I'm on Twitter at Bellin Stephanie, but really been enjoying it. I've gotten a lot of great feedback, and I think you're even getting some followers that are potentially international at this point because you're so fabulous. So thanks for having me back.
Yeah, no problem. And we love having you on the show. That's why we have you back. So I'm going to kind of turn this over to you. This episode is going to be a little different. Normally I ask questions. My guest answers those questions. But today, Stephanie is kind of running the show. She's going to be showing us how to do these exercises. So she's actually going to be asking me some questions from what I understand.
That's right. You're going to be put on the spot. I'm going to ask you to be mindful today during this session, Raquel.
Sounds good.
All right, great. So again, thanks to Red Shoes for having me back. And for those of you who didn't get to hear that podcast, it is out there and available. And I think you said episode 26.
Episode 26, yep.
26. So Raquel's right. When we recorded that, really, we talked about what is mindfulness. And I went over 6 different tenets about what mindfulness truly is. The beauty of it is it can be done anywhere, anytime that you are wakeful. So doesn't cost anything, don't need a gym membership, don't need special shoes, and it is the least expensive form of stress management that is out there. You don't need even a partner, although today I have one in you, Raquel, so I appreciate that. But mindfulness, just to give everybody a little recap, it's about bringing your body and your mind back in the same space and place, which is now, the present. And when you do that, when our body and our minds are in sync, we have this instant chemical and physical change that's happening in our body. Our cortisol levels drop, which is your stress hormone, right? Your serotonin levels go up, your blood pressure goes down, and it literally can be done in seconds, right? Seconds. And I feel like today, that's all some of us have, are just seconds. And it's so needed right now with everything that's happening between COVID, the election, financial stress. Stress in general is really, really high for people right now. So with this, you don't have to go anywhere. You can, but you don't have to. So again, it's about bringing your body and your mind in the same space and place, which is the present, so that we're not in the past with regret, and we're not in the future with planning and worrying, because the past is done. the future is not guaranteed. So just a quick little recap on what mindfulness is all about, and really, really powerful stuff. And it's easy, quick, no money necessary, just attentional focus on the present. So that's kind of the rules for today.
Sounds easy enough.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy enough, although some of us get distracted pretty easy, myself included. So I'm going to be walking through some various exercises today. And again, Raquel has been so gracious as to be participating in that, which also requires her to be a little bit vulnerable and share with everybody. Although I think you already do that. That's why I love your podcast, is you're real, you're genuine, and really mindful when you're doing your podcast. So I appreciate that you're willing to participate. So the first one that I want to start out with, that I love all the exercises because, again, they make us be mindful, bring us to the present, how we're feeling, any smells, tastes, touches, but it connects us and engages us with the person that's in front of us, the object that's in front of us, and asks us really to notice everything about what's in front of us. So I'm going to ask that you have a pen, so I hope that you have one handy, and I didn't even warn her about that. So
I've got a pen and I've got some paper.
All right, perfect. And I don't see your dog at this point, so I was hoping that at some point your dog would make an appearance.
She did that last time, I know.
I know, I loved it. And in mindfulness, I was trying to stay mindful about what I was talking about, and that was a slight distraction because I love dogs, but it was a good kind of distraction. So the thing I'm going to ask that we do in this exercise, this one for me is called good moment. I just call it good moment. So I'm going to ask, and I don't say great because then people analyze, well, what's great? So I want you to think in the last 6 months, just pick any good moment, right? I mean, make it a good one, right? But in the last 6 months, I want you to go back to a good moment for you. So do you have something in mind yet? And don't tell me what it is yet.
I have a couple of big good moments, but yes, I do.
Okay. So I want you to go ahead and write down just one key word that represents that big good moment. Just one key word. And as you write that word down, I want you to actually think about the moment. So go ahead and just write that word down that describes that big moment.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what I'd like you to do, because we're going to really go there, right, in that big moment, that one big moment, I want you to take just 15 seconds to think about that one big moment. And all I want you to do is write down words of things that you see, right? When you think about that moment, what are things that you actually see? Okay, so focus on that moment and focus only on those things that you see, and write down any words that come to your mind about what you actually see. So go ahead and take 15 seconds to do just that. Okay? And don't forget to breathe while you're doing it. It's important.
I am breathing.
Mindful breath. So anything you see, descriptive words, people, details.
Is there a number to how many words I should have?
Oh, no.
Just keep going, hey?
Yep, just keep going because you've got about 9 seconds left.
Okay.
Anything that you see. Continue focusing on sight. All right, 2 more seconds.
Okay.
All right, you got them. All right, perfect.
'em.
All right, so now let's go to, again, about 10 to 15 seconds. Anything in that moment, that one big moment that you can or could hear, things that you heard, descriptive about what that was, what it sounded like. Was it people talking, laughing, splashing, like any descriptive words surrounding here, like what you might have heard or hearing. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
And anytime, and this is just for people listening in, so Raquel, try to stay mindful on your task. Whenever you're doing a mindfulness exercise, really, really important that if you find yourself going away from the exercise, you need a key word that's going to bring you back to the present. because our brains do that, right? I mean, we go away to the past with regret, the future with planning and worrying. So use a keyword. I like now, 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 now. Some find that forceful. I like it. But that's going to bring you back to this moment. So 5 more seconds. And
Now. I feel like I got to do that.
Oh, I listen, that's my word. I mean, you can use it. I don't have a trademark on it, so feel free to use it, but bringing you back to the present. All right, let's go ahead and stop that one.
All right.
Now, I want you to take 10 to 15 seconds and think in terms of that one big moment, things that you could touch or feel. Touch or feel. Okay, so any descriptive words surrounding that, touch and feel. So go ahead and take 10 seconds to go ahead and do that. Touch and feel. Remembering to breathe, right, the entire time. See, I like your sounds. That would be in my ear. I'm purposely distracting you.
It's okay.
That's the world we live in. Using keywords to bring us back to the present. Touch and feel. 5 more seconds.
This one's harder, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the big moment, right? I mean, depends on what you choose. Touch and feel. Okay. Now, stop that one.
Mm-hmm.
Next one I want you to focus on is any smells and taste. Okay, so this is the last one, and I put smell and taste together because depending on what somebody chooses, they might not have those senses. Although they do, sometimes they just aren't mindful of them at the time because they're distracted by other things. There's always smells, right? There's always smells. Now taste, maybe. So I want you to take 10 to 15 seconds and just write any words about your one big moment that surrounds smell and or taste. And remembering to breathe. So go ahead and do that.
I started a little bit while you were talking, so I might have a head start here.
More the better. That's all I say. Smell and or taste. Remembering to bring yourself back to the present when you need to, and to mindfully breathe. I'm going to give you about 5 more seconds. Smell and taste. All right, go ahead and stop that. So the trick here is some people will say to me, Stephanie, seriously, you made me go to a past event. That doesn't make sense when you say in the past with regret, the future with planning and worrying. However, yes, I made you pick a past event, but I made you focus on it, and namely the brain waves and the thinking and the thought process and the feelings surrounding it. So it's what you're feeling, smelling, tasting, right, in the present about an event that happened in the past. So what I'm asking you to do is to focus on what you're doing, what's right in front of you. So just because the event itself was in the past, it doesn't mean that you are in the past. It means you're focused on the event that you're doing right now. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And that's kind of how it was I was like almost like transported back in time to that moment. So it was like I was focusing on what I was seeing and all my senses in that moment. And I really wasn't focusing on a whole lot else. So I can see how that is very mindful, at least as far as back to that moment.
Well, and the beauty of that then too is people tend to use this type of exercise when they're trying to manage like chronic pain, whether that be physical pain or that be emotional pain. So the idea and trick is we want to change what's happening to us physically and emotionally in our bodies. And for people who have ever been clinically depressed, and that's not me, I just have been around people who have, sometimes it's really difficult to even just get out of bed in the morning. So what we need sometimes is something that is attainable. So 15 seconds feels attainable or more attainable than actually getting up and carrying out a whole day. And when we are mindful, of course, we have that physical change that's happening in our body. And sometimes that's just the catapult that we need to get up and get some shoes on, get up and brush our teeth, right? So again, this is a great exercise to practice when you've got, 30 seconds to a minute to do this exercise and really focus on what's right in front of you. And again, being mindful. So here's where I put you on the spot. What was your one big event?
My one big event, I got married on October 3rd. So my wedding.
Ooh, oh, well, that is a big event in the middle of COVID.
Yes.
You got married. And look at not all of you can see this gorgeous smile on Miss Raquel, but I'm telling you right now, she's smiling ear to ear. It's genuine. Her cheeks are nice and right.
It was a good day.
It was a good day. So I want to go back to what we started with. So what I'd like you to do is share with me the words that you wrote down surrounding what you saw.
What I saw, it was a very small wedding. So I saw family, rings, fall, leaves, the colors. It was raining, so I saw rain. Vows. It was a small church that could only seat 10 people. So church, the small church. And yeah, just a lot of the colors.
Yeah. So you say small church. Where? Was that locally? Did you?
I was in Wapaka, Wisconsin. It's a place called the Red Mill.
Yep, I've been to the Red Mill. I was wondering. Yeah. I almost was going to say to you, was it at the Red Mill?
Yep.
It's a beautiful spot. And you went over the bridge, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So fall colors were
in full swing. Yep.
And rain. Oh,
a little bit of rain, but it was okay. And there's the river, so I saw the river.
So let me ask you something, Raquel. Mm-hmm. As just now, so this exercise is beneficial twofold. It's beneficial while you're doing it because you're being mindful. And then as I'm asking you about it, and I'm asking you to recite to me what you saw, you're being mindful in what you're sharing with me. So let me ask you, and I'm going to put you on the spot again. While you were sharing those things that you saw at your wedding, were you thinking about anything else?
No, I was not.
No. See, this is the beautiful thing about mindfulness. You were in your space and place, right, with sati. And remember, that's the Buddhist word that is remembering to stay near an object. And that object that I want you to stay near to is yourself. So you were there in the moment sharing with me what you saw. And so here you are, even though the event was in the past, you were feeling it right now and sharing with me. So if you can kind of put yourself in the place of somebody who is dealing with pain, physical or emotional, and when you do an exercise like this and you start sharing, your focus is on it, not on the pain, right? Whether it be physical or emotional. Or if when you're sharing it with me, your focus is on it versus the past with regret or the future with planning and worrying. So you can give 100% of yourself to this moment, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So let's move on to here. What are the words that you chose around here?
Well, I could hear the rain and the water in the river. I could hear the vows that were being said. There was laughter. There was music. I could hear the photographer with the photo snaps and the leaves rustling. And those were kind of the things that came to mind for hearing.
Yeah. So songs. Any particular songs?
Yeah, we had the song "A Thousand Years" by, I think it's Christina Perri. We had a cello piano duet version of that. So
beautiful.
Yep. So we had that one. And then later on, our first dance song was to a song by the band Florida Georgia Line, and it was called Grow Old. It's all about growing old together. So,
well, Florida Georgia Line does a song. Now I do like country music, but they do a song called Dirt that just, I am just mindful in that song. I'm just there with them, right? In building the house, it's like where your roots are. Yep, I'm there. So here's the third benefit of this exercise when we talk about mindfulness. If any of you, while listening to the podcast, are actually focusing on the words that Raquel is sharing and focusing on what we're talking about, right? And then you're feeling it too, like you can hear the leaves. I think you said the leaves rustling.
Yeah.
I asked you the song so that, yep, and it was a cello and a piano together. Can you hear that? I mean, I can. So anytime somebody is sharing with you, right, in conversation, easy to be mindful if you just listen to every word and actually feel those things as someone's sharing it. You're being mindful. So this exercise actually has three sort of benefit, or three arms of mindfulness, all in one, right? So focusing on those things as you share them. What does that, evoke in you? What are the feelings that it evokes in you? Can you hear those things? Can you see those things? And now we're going to move on to the one you said that was hardest, the feel and touch area or category. Although I didn't ask you if smell and taste was hard for you, but what did you write down for what you felt or could touch?
So I was thinking of feeling as far as like physically what I could feel. And so there's less for this one, but I had like hands, like I felt Christian was holding my hand. We put the ring on it, hugs from family. Yeah, that's kind of where I ended up with what I felt.
So when you went and left the church, because it's small. I've been there. It's really small. I'm even wondering if 10 is what you can fit in there. Was it still raining?
Sprinkling, yeah. So I felt rain. Yeah.
Did you feel the rain on your...
And the cold air. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Like a chill of the cold air mixed with the rain.
Yeah.
It makes you kind of feel like alive. So really great opportunity in terms of touch and feel when you're being mindful, especially when you have an element involved, like rain. Instead of going, oh, I hate the rain, I got to go out in it, I really don't want to. I remember one of the last times I went out, right? That's past with regret, future with planning and worrying. Instead of going, I'm going to, as I experience it, I'm going to actually feel it, instead of worrying about past with regret, future with planning and worrying. So again, lots of different opportunities in terms of mindfulness exercises on top of mindfulness exercises. So that wasn't so hard. You came up with some good ones. All right, smell and taste.
Well, the cake and the food, right, at dinner. Smell of like the fall leaves and the rain. There's like a smell there. I thinking of getting ready, hairspray and perfume and makeup and all that stuff while we were getting ready ahead of time. A couple of the girls were drinking some coffee, so I smelled the coffee. Yeah.
Okay, cake. What was the cake?
It was a cake from a company called Whisk and Arrow, and it was a couple different flavors. It had peanut butter, cookies and cream, chocolate, vanilla, and a caramel center. So it kind of was like a Snickers bar.
I mean, if any of you are being mindful right now when she was describing that and could actually taste it, good for you. But that's going to make me want to run out and get either a Culver's or a Snickers, or, I mean, Whisk and Arrow is not too far from my house and I love that place. So, all right. So that's an exercise, and I like to call it good moment, and you can call it whatever you want. The trick is, of course, while you're doing any mindfulness exercise, again, is to have a way to bring you back to the present. And because oftentimes people beat themselves up. They're like, oh, I just blew it, right? I mean, I started thinking about something I shouldn't be thinking about. No. Don't worry about it. Just use that word to bring you back to the present. And again, what you'll find while you're doing these exercises is hopefully that's what you're focused on, right? You're not thinking about all the other things that are happening in the world today. And there are quite a few things happening in the world right now today. So again, good moment. You can pick any one you want. Now you happen to pick a big one. You don't have to limit yourself on time, right? I mean, I did 10 to 15 seconds. If you have far more that you want to do, and let's face it, Raquel, your big moment, I'm sure had far more than what you described. And if I gave you more time and you were in deep thought, you could have gone to town with mindfulness. And this could be as long as you wanted it to be. Again, I say this to people is when you're practicing mindfulness, the importance is the more you practice it, the more it becomes a system one brain function, so that you just do it naturally. Like as you're describing to me your words, I'm focused on you. I'm focused on those words. I'm focused on what they evoke in me. Simple, right? So again, a triple threat in that exercise in terms of mindfulness. So I call it good moment, good thing, right?
Yeah, and I think important too, just to mention for people that you don't necessarily have to have somebody questioning you or asking you about your moment. You just do this in your head. Not only does it make you mindful, but from just doing this with Stephanie, it also just makes you feel good. You just get happy afterwards.
So that's why I choose a good moment. You certainly can be mindful with a bad moment, but I'd rather you choose a good moment. But yeah, it makes you feel good. And really that's the goal, is to change chemically and physically what's happening in your body. And I appreciate you saying this doesn't have to be done with somebody else. I just think it's fun to put you a little bit on the spot. I should have warned you. And we learn a little bit more about you, Miss Raquel, out there in the whole world of Soul Source. But I like this kind of engagement. And really that's one of the tenets of mindfulness. So it's, mindfulness of engagement. It gives me an opportunity to engage with you in a different way, but you certainly don't have to have someone in order to do this. It can be done alone. So I thank you for saying that.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. And this one also requires you to have a pen and a paper, which we already know you have. And what I call this one is, I just call it colors, right? I just call it colors. You can call it whatever you want, but I just call it colors. So this one requires you to be right here and in this moment, in this space and place. And I'm going to go through various colors. And what I'm going to ask you to do is just take 5 seconds for each color. And I want you to look around in the space and place that you're in. And I want you to write down the colors, or write down the objects of what you're seeing, right? The colors that relate to the objects that you're seeing. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first color that I want you to look for is red. Look for anything red. And actually, I'm going to write these things down too, because I can see your space and place as well.
Oh, well, you see this part. I'm looking in the other direction.
I know, but that's the beauty of it. So go ahead, 5 seconds.
Is it just as many as I can think of, or just one thing?
As many as you see.
Okay.
As many as you see that are red objects. Okay, go ahead and stop that. So next color I want you to look for anything you see that's orange, right? Orange. It's funny because I don't know what some of these things are in your space. Orange. So anything orange. I like that you turned around. Right, anything orange. Okay, let's move on. I want you to see what you can find. Anything that's yellow. 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 Just a tip, trick, and tool for that in colors. Oftentimes when I'm doing an exercise like this, I will use the word of what I'm looking for as a way to bring me back to the present. So like I just said before, yellow, 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 like that gets me back to, right?
Keeps you focused on yellow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, keeps me focused on yellow. And that trick can be used in mindfulness even when you're having conversation with somebody, right? And I find myself going away. I can, in my mind, be saying, Raquel, 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 right? Bringing me back. That's an exercise in and of itself, but it's a good tip, trick, and tool when you're trying to practice mindfulness. Okay, next color I want you to look for is green. Green. So green, green, green. Okay, next color I want you to look for, blue. Anything that's blue. Blue, blue, blue. Okay, next color, purple. Anything purple, which is a favorite. Oh, I like that you made a face. That tells me you don't have a lot of purple.
I don't have a lot of purple.
Purple, purple, purple. Just a little commentary here. This provides a really great opportunity to be extra mindful. Is when you're doing an exercise like this and you don't have, like it's harder to find something, right? If I said to you white, I mean, you probably could find a lot, or gray, or black. But like pink, purple might be not colors, right? Or things that you see, like you don't have it all the time. So when you have to be more focused and really looking for it, it's a really great opportunity to be even more involved in it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, you're looking for colors of the rainbow, and it's definitely harder.
Ah, you picked up on that I was doing Roy G. Biv. Did you pick up on that?
I did.
See, you were mindfully listening to me. So you're having a lot of good serotonin increasing and cortisol dropping, and yep, you're good. All right. So what'd you find that was red?
I had a blanket. I work at a place called Red Shoes, so I have red bags around my house that I use for that. A red pen and a scarf that has some red plaid in it.
So my end, I have red sweater because from this red. Camera looks red. Your lips to me look red, and then there's something hanging back there on the key thing that looks red to me.
Oh, a hat. Yep.
Oh, a hat. And then also in the utensil thing next to your stove, I think it's a utensil for cooking.
You can see that? Yeah. There's a red, like a pot grabber over there.
And there's something to the left of that that's red on the counter, but I can't tell like detail wise what that is.
Yeah.
And then there's something that seemingly is red striped on the refrigerator behind you, but I'm not certain about that.
That is Chris's work schedule because he swings shift every week.
Oh, well, I don't know. It looks red.
Yeah, it's got red in it.
Okay. All right. So what did you find that was orange?
I have a cat and a dog. So the cat has an orange cat toy. I have an orange book on my desk and an orange highlighter, and we have orange soda, orange Fanta in my house. So there's an orange soda can sitting in the living room.
So if any of you have ever had Fanta, right? Tomato, let's call it all off. I haven't had Fanta in years, but you know what that can or that bottle looks like, depending on if you have the can or the bottle. So you got to love that. So what I'm going to tell you is from my angle, orange for me was really hard, unless I think in terms of your cabinets being with the glow of the sunlight, they look to be a lighter oak of sorts.
Yep.
So it kind of has a little tinge of orange just because of the sunlight. So that was the only thing orange that I could find.
Yeah.
So here's my tip and trick about that. So let's say you're in an exercise of mindfulness and you pick a color like orange, or you pick an object that is harder to find, and you do find one. Then what I'm going to ask you to do to enhance your mindfulness of experience is just look at that object for the time that you allot and look at every detail of it. So I'm giving you an exercise on top of an exercise, if that makes sense. So sometimes what people will do when they complete something and they're waiting for something else to start, that's where they lose themselves. They stop being mindful. They go in the past with regret, the future with planning and worrying. And so as you were doing your piece, and you obviously had 5 or 6 objects of orange, and I could only find just one, instead of starting the Jeopardy thing in my mind, I went, okay, I've got one. I'm going to focus on it, all the angles, how the light is hitting them, how many they are. So don't lose yourself, right? In the past with regret or the future with planning and worrying. Focus on that one thing then, because that might be the only thing you have. Don't force yourself, right, to try to find something else. Just focus on it. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense.
Perfect. So what'd you find that was yellow?
Highlighter. I have a dog, so a dog toy that's yellow. And then my Emmy Award is in the living room, and so that's gold, yellow. So those are the 3 things that I thought of.
All right. So for me, for you, in yellow, it's actually when you move, I see it. It's behind you, and I don't know what it is. Oh, M&Ms. And it's the peanut ones, which is perfect because there's healthy stuff in there. It's like
exactly. It's how I justify it.
Oh, me too. So I even caught a glimpse of it, but you moved so fast. Like I was like, what's that yellow thing? And the other thing that I did find right away is I went to like the yellow, like coming in from the sunlight, because it's kind of, there's a yellow hue that's bouncing off one of the sides of your cabinets that's behind you. It's probably the one that's by the sink that there's a window, I'm guessing that's right there. So that became my focus on your yellows. Okay. Green.
I have some plants. There's a packer blanket that's got green in it, obviously, and then a scarf that's got some plaid in it, and there's green in there as well.
Okay, so for me, green for you is this candle I think it's a candle that's right behind you.
Yep.
At least from this light that's hitting it, it's various colors, right? That's cascading, but I see green in there. So yeah, there is green.
Yeah.
Is it scented?
It is. It's called Autumn Days.
Hey, that's from your like one big day.
Yeah.
Autumn day. See how we bring this all together in a mindfulness moment. All right, so blue.
I have a blue wall in my living room, so a blue wall, and then the curtains have some blue in it. My cat's scratch post is blue, and he's sitting on that right now. And then the mailman walked by literally as I was doing this, and of course he wears blue, so I saw him out the window.
So what's beautiful about this, and I love that happened. I love that as you were looking around, right, there's the mailman. Mm-hmm. Now, why do I say that? Is because when we're not engaged and we're not being mindful, we miss unexpected opportunities, right? And so I see the mailman, and I'm not saying he's an opportunity, but maybe you're waiting for something that's really, really, I like that you laughed at that, because you're being mindful and listening to me. But here he is, right? And maybe you were waiting for something, and something that couldn't be outside in the elements of the day. And if you weren't being mindful, you would have missed it or missed him in this moment. So again, lots of lessons when we start looking around and we actually are noticing our space, that we think we know what's in it because it's right. We see it every day. We miss things. We miss opportunities that are right in front of us. So what I'm noticing in your room that's blue is you have a microphone that's a lot like mine. So I see the blue back there on that. And then I can't tell if it's bluish purple or periwinkle. There's an object right behind you.
Yep.
And I'm not sure, I can't.
Is it this one?
Yes.
Or this one? This one?
No, yep.
This one?
No, the other one.
So my dog just had surgery 2 weeks ago. She's on medicine, and that's just her medicine box. So yeah, it's like a periwinkle color. Purpley blue. Yep.
Oh, well, see, that's purple. So I'm going to use that for purple because I couldn't find so much purple. So let's go to purple. What'd you find? Anything?
Well, one of my plants is a violet, so I had purple flowers.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was pretty much it for purple.
Okay, so I'm going to just reiterate here that when you only find that one thing, focus on it. Stay and use that time to really focus on it. And then you can expand that outside of color and what you see. You can start describing like its shape, right? What else is it? What else is in and around it? Or any thoughts that come to mind surrounding, would you say violet?
Yeah.
It's a violet flower. Mm-hmm. So for me, when I hear violet flower, I instantly, if that were my only object and I started thinking about things of it, my grandmother, that was her favorite, and she had violets all over the place. So I went to that, I would go to that space and place and just notice everything. Again, don't let yourself or beat yourself up if you can only find one object in the time frame. You can still be mindful. Just focus on it and everything you know about it. Make sense?
It makes total sense.
Well, and I didn't have a purple because even though I saw that medicine, I saw it more as blue. So what I started focusing on was a color that I wasn't going to ask you for, which was black. And I have plenty of that. So I could have picked plenty of things. So don't, again, let yourself wander to the past with regret or the future with planning and worrying. All right. So that's called colors. And so many different ways in which you can expand on that simple exercise, and not just expand on it time-wise, but expand on the object itself, to not just notice the color of it, but the shape of it. Is there a smell surrounding it? Of course, with the flower, you might find a smell surrounding it. Is there a taste surrounding it? Is there a touch or a feeling surrounding it? So good ways to go through the senses to expand on that exercise of what I call colors. Make sense?
Makes sense. That one definitely had a different feel than the first one.
Okay, what was the different feel?
Well, the first one brought me to a moment, right? So then I had a feeling that came with that moment. This one was more just focus, I guess. Like I was just focused on like kind of a I Spy game, I guess, but kind of a, focus on finding things that I was supposed to be finding.
So I love that you just said that, Raquel, because again, what mindfulness brings, besides some of the physical changes that happen in our body and the benefits of those, but it brings those opportunities. Like you talked about the mailman. I had a lady who, she said to me, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try your colors exercise on my way home from work. I'm going to start with red and then orange and yellow, because as most of us know, most accidents happen within 25 miles of our home. Mm-hmm. And the reason that is because we go on autopilot. We just forget, we just don't notice things any longer. So she said, I'm going to practice this colors exercise on my way home from work so that I can be mindful. And I'm going home. I'm driving. It's not like I need to be doing anything else, right? Mm-hmm. So she started focusing on just the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, or purple. And she sent me a really interesting email, and she said, why did you make me do that? And I said, well, first of all, I didn't make you do anything, but I'm so glad you were mindful. She said, well, I'm not, because I just noticed that there was tons of trash, like trash. People were throwing, it was horrible. The freeway was littered with trash. And I said, yeah, but it's an unexpected opportunity then. So you can, get together a group of people and go pick up trash. Ha ha ha. Well, she did. And she emailed me back and she said, it was such a great experience. And while doing it, she shared the colors exercise with the people who were doing it. And they were all mindfully picking up trash based on color.
Oh, wow.
I know. See, unexpected opportunities in trash. Okay. Next exercise. Now, this is one of my favorites, and we got about 10 minutes left, right?
Yep, we're getting close.
Okay, so we're getting close. So I'm going to use this as our last exercise, because then we can just do wrap up with any questions or thoughts. So for me, mindfulness of acceptance is one of my favorite tenets of mindfulness. And if you listen to that podcast, great. If not, it's out there. You can find it, episode 26. And mindfulness of acceptance tenet will tell you that bring forth your big, bad, ugly thing, or that thing that's consuming most of your time, right, and energy. Bring it to the forefront. So rearrange your list, because oftentimes we put those icky things at the bottom. And then we get to the bottom and we don't have enough time left for it. So we move it to the next day, and then we move it to the next day. And then because we keep moving it, we don't tackle it, it becomes bigger, right? It becomes a bigger issue or problem. So this exercise is about mindfulness of acceptance. Again, rearrange your list, put your most difficult, most taxing, most emotional thing, physically, taxing thing first. Manage it. So mindfulness of acceptance will tell you to go to it, recognize the facts surrounding it, meaning who, what, when, and where, right? All the senses. Then feel what you've got to feel about it so that you can move on and come up with innovative solutions for moving on. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite exercises in mindfulness, and it all it requires is it's a visualization in mindfulness of acceptance. And when I get to the part about the leaf is going to represent maybe that thing, right, that we've been putting off, right? Project, conversation, like anything we've been putting, like that icky thing that's back there in our mind, and we think that we've compartmentalized it, but no, we just haven't. So what I want you to do is that leaf will represent that thing, like whatever it is. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so really now all that's required is for you to get comfortable in whatever that is, and I want you to close your eyes. And I promise you, nobody else is staring at you because this is recorded, and I won't stare at you either, so we don't have to worry about that. Also keep in mind that as we do this exercise, if you find yourself going away from the visualization, use something to bring you back to the visualization. So back to my voice and back to the words I'm saying, so that it can help you visualize what we're talking about.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah. Let's give it a shot.
All right, let's do this thing. So again, find that really, really comfortable space and close your eyes. And the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to take 2 mindful breaths. And what those are, again, are breathing where you're just focusing on the breath, how it feels. Don't worry about how you're doing it. Simply breathe. So go ahead and take 2 mindful breaths. Okay, so here we are. I want you to visualize and picture yourself sitting next to a stream. It's a perfect fall day. I mean, we have one today. It's perfect, right? Partly sunny, the clouds are fluffy. You're sitting next to that stream, and what I want you to do is start looking around, right? In your visualization, I want you to start looking around. Notice your stream itself. Like, is it narrow? Is it wide? Is the water moving at a rapid pace? Is it moving slowly? What's in your stream? Are there rocks? Are they big? Are they small? What else is in the stream? Do you have any debris floating in it? Sticks? Is there any wildlife? What's next to your stream? Are there tall grasses? How about cattails? Are there any wildlife? Any butterflies left? Any birds? What do you smell? I mean, when we talk about fall, do you have a smell that's there? Think about it. I mean, what do you smell? As you're smelling that, I want you to kind of look around, and I want you to look upstream, and I want you to find that one tree, right? That one tree that has changed into this like beautiful garnet red. And that garnet red is shimmering because, right, the sun is just shooting through the leaves. And it's hitting that stream, and you can see this, sparkling onto the water. And come back to the tree. I want you to just focus on the tree. Notice everything about the tree. Look at the trunk. Look at the branches. Is it still full? I mean, does it still have all its leaves? I want you to notice that the breeze is blowing just a little bit. Remember, perfect fall day, like 70, partly sunny. I want you to find that one branch, and then I want you to focus on just one leaf. Just one. Watch it. Notice every detail of how it's moving in the wind. What's the color? Is it changing at all? Is the red going from a lighter red to a darker red as the sun hits it, right? And I want you to watch it because it actually is falling now off of that tree. I mean, watch as the wind kind of takes it, and eventually it lands in that stream. Don't leave it, just focus on it. And I want you to watch it as it makes its way towards you. Winding through, winding around maybe pebbles, rocks. Is it getting caught up on anything? Debris that's in the water? Is there a log there? Just watch it and continue to watch it. What do you feel about it, right? What are you feeling? Just watch it. And as it winds its way down and it's right in front of you, I want you to just stare at it, look at it, notice everything about it. Every edge, every vein, is it damaged? Do you see the stem? And then I actually want you to watch it while it floats away, right? Back down the stream. Really watch it until it actually gets to a point where you no longer see it. And when you no longer see it, I want you to bring yourself back to what's right in front of you, right? What's right in front of you? Is it the stream? Are you on a blanket? Is there grass? Bring yourself back to the present and notice it. Now, to end, I just want you to take a couple of mindful breaths, right? 2 breaths where you're focusing solely on your breath. How does that feel? 2 mindful breaths. All right, go ahead and open your eyes. Well, as in everyday life, I'm sure you heard my dogs. And then I had my 18-year-old come in and say, hey, those things happen. And it's actually, I couldn't have really had that happen any better, because those things will happen when we're practicing mindfulness or we're going about our day, right? When we have distractions. And when those things happen, don't get upset or angry or mad, like recognize it and then bring yourself back to the present with whatever word you have to use to actually bring you back to it. So Raquel, because I know you've done that exercise with me before. So what did you think? What were you thinking about? Were you leaving your space in place? Were you focused on what I was talking about? Did anything get your leaf all caught up, hung up, right back in the stream?
Yeah, I was really focused on what you were saying, and it was really helpful, like, because you were like almost narrating a story, so I could kind of follow along. And then, so I was imagining, a river, and there was like this big tree that kind of like leans over the river, and it, the leaf fell off, and it was kind of weaving its way through me, and there was a rock in the middle of my river, and it kind of got stuck there for a bit. And then it kind of, just got caught in the current. And then it finally made itself over to me. And it was just kind of weird how I'm thinking of these things as you're walking through that. And that's totally my imagination at work.
Yeah, no. And you're, so again, people say to me, well, this is a visualization. This isn't mindfully practicing the present. No, it is, because I'm giving you the visualization like right now, right? You're in it. And the reason that I asked you if you got hung up at all is because oftentimes, because I tell people that the leaf represents that thing, right, that we've got to take care of, that thing that we're putting off. And when we put it off, it gets larger and bigger and more stressful. So when people say, yes, my leaf got hung up, and this has happened in training, my leaf got hung up and it stayed there. Like I was stuck there. I actually couldn't even bring myself to focus on the rest of the exercise. So what I say to people in that moment is that might, and I say might, represent a roadblock to being mindful or managing your stress. So sometimes, in order to be mindful, we sometimes have to manage the roadblock that might be there. That sometimes comes in the form of guilt, shame. I mean, there's finances, time. There's a lot of different things that get us caught up when we're trying to manage it. So again, sometimes that gives us a cue that we actually have to go back and manage it. And then one last funny thing, and then I'll be finished. I had a guy say to me, all right, Stephanie, this didn't work for me. And I say, well, why not? He said, because when you said fall day and perfect fall day by a stream, and you said to look around, right, on your stream, he said, right away, I saw a buck that was right across the stream. And then that became my focus, and I never left that buck. And I said to him, hey, if you were being mindful and focusing on that buck, like all the detail, fine. But sometimes the things that take us away from what's right in front of us is what we have to work hard at setting boundaries for, so that we can be mindful and engage with what's right in front of us. I said, besides, George, opening deer hunting isn't for another 3 weeks. I said, I think your family actually represents what's right in front of you. And that buck, you need to move on, right? Like, let it go down the stream because it's 3 more weeks. And he kind of laughed and he said, I don't think I'll share this with my wife. I said, probably a good idea. So that was kind of a funny that happened during mindfulness training. So those are my exercises. Those are 3 that you can practice. You can make them as short or as long as you want to. You can be alone when you do them. You can grab a partner, right? It's a great thing to practice with a spouse, a significant other, kids at dinner, to make family dinner go more mindfully pleasant. But again, 3 simple, quick things that you can set the time for. Doesn't cost anything. You don't have to go anywhere, and you don't need a membership to be mindful. Every wakeful moment, you have an opportunity to do so. So that's what I have for you. Any thoughts?
I mean, I love doing these exercises for the reason of, yes, you're focused, but I really like the colors one, I think specifically, because for that same reason you said about the lady who was driving home, it just makes you aware of the moment. You don't realize how many things you probably just miss, in life in general. And just taking a couple of minutes to just focus on the moment, you really pick up a lot that you just don't normally.
Well, yeah, and sometimes, like I said, it's an opportunity, just like the mailman, right? You might have had something coming or being delivered. And the thing I like to go to and telling people about that is no two sunsets or sunrises are the same. So if you miss it, you missed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I equate that as a metaphor to anything and everything else that's right in front of us, that when we're not mindful, we might have missed it or missed an opportunity that's right in front of us. So that's my little metaphor.
No, this was fantastic, Stephanie. I couldn't thank you enough for walking through this with us. I think this is going to help people. It definitely helped me.
Well, I appreciate Red Shoes for having me on. And Raquel, you're the best. When I listen to you and your other podcasts, you just put me in this space and place with your voice where I can be mindful. Even though, right, I mean, not every podcast is about mindfulness, but it can be. That's the beauty. It really can be. So I appreciate you having me on. I love your organization. Red Shoes Inc. does so much for women in business and just, right, strong women, strong daughters, strong women in the community working together. So I just love it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. And if you want to hear more Soul Source, subscribe to the show. We're available wherever you listen to podcasts. And if there's something you want us to talk about, we can do that too. We have a page. It's on Facebook. It's called the Soul Source Society. And it's where we interact with listeners. We get content ideas for future shows. We talk about past content. And overall, we just have a lot of fun. That's Soul Source Society on Facebook. We hope to see you there. Soul Source is brought to you by Red Shoes Inc., a leading agency that specializes in crisis and strategic communications, media relations, social media, and so much more. To learn more about Soul Source and Red Shoes, visit us at redshoesinc.com.